Alrighty. I think we're all good. Let's see what we got cruising up here. First, I gotta turn this camera or this light on a little bit more. I can move this, and that's all good. So I'm gonna walk over here. Green on. Okay. Hello, everybody. It's me. I'm back again. I'm gonna do 3 more pots for you guys today. Yesterday, one of my students, it was just a couple of us, right? It was like five students, and one of them, I was asked them, "Hey, do you guys want to listen to some music or something?" And they're like, "Yeah, Mr. Noah, can you put on Doors music?" And I was like, "What's Doors?" And they were like, "It's like a Roblox music thing." And I was thinking it was gonna be like all like happy-go-lucky music, and to my surprise, the Doors is like a horror game in this Roblox game, right? And so they were like, I was so surprised to start listening to music. The music that we're gonna be listening to today is from that, and so it's actually kind of spooky. And so I was kind of curious on why these kids are like listening to this spooky music, but I thought I'd listen to it today just because I thought it was a funny interaction. But we're gonna get over there in just a second. Usually I'll play the intro, but today I won't play the intro again. So, green off. Camera C. Okay. So I usually don't want to get like little footprints on my green screen here. But step 1, what we're gonna do is we're gonna come over here and we want to get some of this clay from yesterday out with my water bucket. Look, some of it almost went up and hit my face. Actually, that'd be interesting if it hit the camera. Let's see. Nope, it's all good. But yeah, I'm just gonna kind of get into it and make some things, and it'll be a good time. Oh shoot, my sponge. No, I'm missing my sponge and my one tool. Okay, well, I have all my tools in my car because I had work yesterday and I'm going to work later today, so I end up using some other tools. Thank goodness I got some other tools, because I would have been tough out of luck there. Do I have a sponge? Yeah. I guess we're gonna do the classic rip off from an old sponge. Right? Isn't this music kind of weird? Okay. Oh. That was a little bit too forceful. Now I got some water everywhere. But usually, if I'm ever missing a sponge, you can just rip off a little chunk, and there you go. You got your new sponge. Okay, I gotta turn this down just a little bit though. That was pretty loud. Okay, well, here we are. We're gonna start working with the clay. We're gonna dip into our wet box here. We need 3 chunks. So 1. Oh wow, it's kind of really overhydrated in there. Like the moisture is just dripping. Oh, this actually is pretty hard, so maybe I gotta keep that moisture in there. So I'll be closing this back up. Sometimes though, like the moisture, it feels like it's too much. You can really see how much condensation is building up, and that changes depending on, like there's a radiator right behind this thing, and so I'm assuming the heat coming from that radiator causes some effect to what's happening in the wet box. But again, I try not to think about that stuff too much. I just gotta keep making. But I have noticed every place you go, like wherever they store their ceramics or how they store their clay, it really changes how you interact with your process, right? And what I mean by that is, one of the places I work has a huge wet tunnel and the moisture in there is really high, but every once in a while you have a week, I guess, where it's really dry in there. And so I'm assuming there's something else in the building and how it's the AC or the air is running through there that shifts every once in a while. So every space you go into, you become used to the pattern, right? Like the air and how it's affecting your work, and how heat and coolness and dryness and all this stuff in the atmosphere of your studio space affects your work. And so it's kind of a fun thing. Clay helps you visualize the stuff you can't normally see. I think it's kind of an interesting little tidbit. All right, so you see how hard this one is? So we got to be a little bit more forceful on this one. Here we go. Look at that. Okay. A little bit hard clay here. Maybe we'll start with the hard stuff first. I think that'll probably be a good idea. But, alrighty. So here I go, I'm gonna take one of my bats, camera B. Okay. Oh, set this down here. A bit of water. You know what? We'll turn this back up just a tiny bit. We don't want to go too loud here. Nice. Okay. Like I said, thank goodness I have this little tool here, because I left a bunch of my tools in my car. And so I usually do that to just get this dry. Set this on there for just a second. Hold on one moment. Oh, so funny. You talking about the transition maybe? But either way, nice to have you aboard. I hope you liked that image I sent you. I thought that was so funny when I saw that. Seriously, I'm still laughing about it. Me and my buddy Tom, we were like, one day we were just, in the studios, and we were just like cleaning off some tables and stuff, and we did that. I just couldn't help but laugh, and we got our professor. We're gonna be like, "Oh, yo, we gotta show you something in here. There's something huge in the other room," and it was just that image. So it was pretty funny. I don't know. Maybe you typed something. I'm not sure. Hold on. It's just somebody else. Okay, somebody else joined. All right, here we go. So again, always that back and forth, and then you also see I'm actually not even on the board. So watch, see how it's not even on there? So I didn't line up my pins properly. There we go. I had so much clay caked on my wheel I didn't really notice them, but I could feel it shifting a little bit as I put more pressure on there. Okay, again, go up. I'm always imagining that like two lanes of traffic, one going and one coming towards, and then that's what's keeping it on center. And then when you get to this point, right, you see how it's wanting to get a little bit wobbly? Slow down and then project your hand forward a little bit, and that's how you can keep that on center. And then you kind of bring that around. Go pretty slow. Curl up right underneath. And when you get to this bottom part, you want to start yanking this hand up as you push down. And that's how you'll center that stuff right on the bottom. That stuff's the hardest because that's where the clay's the thickest, right? All right, fist coming down on top. You push that down. And I always say it's like your hand's on there like the horizon. Here, camera C. Camera C. Okay, so like imagine this is your horizon line right through the middle there, right? You're above that, right? And that's where you're keeping your pressure. A lot of people will take this hand and will have it over here, right? You want the clay to just come into your hand, and you want it to be above that center horizon line there, right? And then I take my fist over top, and I set that right on my palm of my hand. I slowly bring that to my wrist there, and then all of a sudden you got it centered, right? It's kind of slow and steady wins the race in this one, right? But it's all about reacting to the way that you're, I don't even know what you call it, like what your clay is sort of telling you, right? Like if you're moving your wheel really fast, you have to adjust your hands to match that speed a little bit. I think some people are commenting. Let's see what they got to say. Oh, yeah. I'm glad you thought that was funny. I feel like that is kind of a weird thing to get from some random person. But I was like, maybe you think it'd be funny. So, alright, pushing my fingers right down the center here. Sometimes you can use the tips of your fingers. I don't know. I think for now, speed-wise, thumbs is kind of nice. You know, Captain Hook fingers right on this bottom. You're scratching against that bottom edge, right? Imagine it's like 3 layers of a cake. You're scratching that bottom layer of that cake, and then the 2 top layers of the cake will follow, right? You don't have to push all that clay, just push below it, and the top will follow it, right? And so it really help with your, like, if you don't have a lot of strength in your, like, throwing and your arms and whatever, right? You don't need to have a lot of strength. It's all about hand positioning. All right, camera B. Camera B. Thank you. All right, and we're just gonna get this right up into a little volcano. I always start with volcanoes. I think it's the best way for making cylinders personally, because sometimes when people make cylinders, they add too much thickness on this top edge. But when you color that in there at the beginning and you sort of pull that up, you're already thinning that out just a little bit. So then when you go to do some pulls, you're never really gonna have too much clay on that top edge. And so I think it's just a mechanic of my throwing that I have learned to appreciate. I think it, oh, I kind of jumped over a spot there with my knuckle. Go right up underneath that, so I fix that up a little bit. Oh, that just a little tad. Somebody else said something. Let's see what they had to say. Gotta thank the robots just in case. Yeah, no, you really do, you know? I don't know why. I think it's just kind of funny. I've always imagined, like, when I do my voice command things, that I'd have, like, you know how Iron Man has Jarvis? I'd have my own little ceramic dude, and maybe he'd, like, pop up when I say his name. And then he, like, helps me switch the camera or something. That's a little bit later down the line. I feel like after I finish my 1,000 Trees project, I'll be able to do a little bit more of that sort of stuff. It all takes time. I've realized I used to think that, like, high intensity in a short period of time was, like, the most difficult thing, right? I was like, oh, that's got to be, like, extremely high intensity, right? In, like, a day, like, seeing how much I can throw in 24 hours. And I thought that was hard because I'd be sore, I'd get butt calluses, and my hands would start getting, like, really, you know, fucked up, and I probably shouldn't cuss, sorry about that. But then I realized, like, no, like, high intensity over a long period of time, that's something I think is really cool. So that's what I'm working right now, just by posting on my YouTube every day and throwing these pots every day. But, you know, it does limit what you can do in a day. So sometimes those little, like, voice edited things and, like, the little fun parts, you don't really get to, you know, do anything with those for now. They can just sit in the brain. Let's see what else. Anybody else say anything? Oh, look at that. If you don't want to get up and read should prop up your phone, tablet with the stream open near your wheel. You said something that really helped me before, which was the clay moves where your hands aren't. Yeah, I feel like, yeah. Well, first, to your first comment there is, like, you know, I could just have, like, first, you know, believe it or not, I'm actually running an Ethernet cable, like an 100-foot Ethernet cable. I drilled a hole in my floor to run this Ethernet cable all the way through I live in an apartment, right? So I had to kind of MacGyver how I'd get internet down in my studio space here. Also, I probably shouldn't have done this other pole. You can kind of see how it's getting a little bit too wobbly here. I got a little bit too thin, so we'll still finish the pole here. But yeah, so I had to run that cable all the way down here to even get internet to stream, right? Because I wasn't going to do wireless, because wireless doesn't go through, the floors to get over here in the first place. So it's kind of like, it's a little bit irritating to get the internet down here. So when I prop up my iPad to would look at the stream, or the comments, I just don't have that internet down here to do that. I wonder if I could get a hub and then have that connected, but I think most likely what I'm going to do is just get a screen, like a second screen, and then run a HDMI from the other output of my graphics card, and then have like a little screen, maybe like right here on those like little stands for music when you were in like school or whatever, like the little music stands. I think I'll get like a music stand and then prop up like a little screen on there, and then maybe that would be good, because although I'm streaming on YouTube for you, I'm also streaming on Instagram for anybody who follows me on Instagram. So I'm doing both, so I need to have both things up so I can see both screens there. Okay, so I'm pushing this out ever so slightly. But yeah, I'm glad that you like that the clay moves wherever your hands aren't, right? I feel like whenever I'm teaching people, like in my classes and stuff, I'm always like looking at what their hands are doing. I'm very like hands-on with them. I sit across from them and I'm sort of trying to feel like what they're doing to the clay. And I notice a lot of times people are just missing spots where clay could like squeeze out of their control, right? And so I always say it's like that. I know you didn't get that irrigation, reference I was making the other day, but imagine, you carved like a little path, right? Things are more likely to go down that path, right? Or what's the best way I can explain it? Like maybe, I don't know if you ever drink coffee, but have you ever seen those people who like use the needles for their espresso, and they like fluff up their coffee, so then the like fluid dynamics, whatever, doesn't just go straight into one channel. It tries to even out so all the coffee grounds get touched by water equally. It's kind of a similar thing. I'm already making this way too complicated. I'm just going to stop. One day I'll get it though. I feel like are trying to explain something and then you go too far and then get excited about how you're explaining it, and then you're just off in a whole entire different world. That's what just happened there. Okay, ends on the bottom. All right, let's cut this on the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Nice. Curl these up. Curl these up. Curl these up. Also, I gotta make sure I don't. Sometimes when I'm editing this footage after the fact, I'm doing a lot of talking and not working on something. So I think I gotta make sure I stay focused on working and talking at the same time. I can get like really distracted when I talk to the point where I just stop moving my hands, and so I gotta make sure I keep on cruising. It just makes my editing a little bit easier, and it's probably a good tool for me to learn how to just keep on working and talking at the same time. But here's number 1. All right, camera C. Camera C. Set that over here. So look. That's smart, yes. All right, cool. Let's get this over here. Hand's a little bit wet. I think there's not enough on there. I can just keep my hands wet and then push this down. All right, give it a little pump. I always say you want to get your clay as centered as possible on the wheel before you even start throwing. So sometimes I'll just pump to try to get it centered. And so camera B, camera B. So you can see how it's already kind of centered. If you start way off, you're already going to be in some trouble, So here I am, I'm pushing this up. Nice. We're going to go one more and push this up. Nice. And again, it's all about that traffic, that push and pull. Okay, slow down. Okay, project that forward. It's a little bit wobbly on this base, but that's okay. So I'm going to push, project that forward. Be slow. Okay, there you go. Wherever it starts wobbling, just make sure I'm pushing my hand down there. Right up underneath. Curve that up. Nice. Push that down, lock that elbow down. There you go. Hammer fist comes on top. Pull it right to your palm. Get your hockey puck ready. Nice. Push your thumbs down. Get your captain hook ready. Fill that pond. Don't let the tadpoles dry out. Scratch your finger right along that bottom base there. Remember the 3 layers of a cake. Move that bottom layer of that cake. The top 2 layers are going to move. Push this out to the side ever so slightly. Sometimes I like to get a little surprise spiral on the inside there, even though it's not going to be seen. I push this up. You know, I always think that one sign of somebody who takes pottery to the next level is attention to places that don't need it or aren't seen from just looking at the object from afar, right? I feel like once you can see that sort of care in your own objects, you kind of evolve to the next step of your pottery career. That's why a lot of people spend a lot of extra time on the foot or like what they set on the bottom of an object, right? But for me, it's kind of like what goes on the inside too is also important. Okay, so a little bit more, color this in. I went a little bit too thin on this top, so I'm going to be careful about that. Drag that water down. Again, the knuckle right on that bottom edge. Listen up that pressure as I go up. Nice, okay. I'm going to push my hand down here. Create a little notch. Great. 2 fingers on the inside. We say, hey, Clay, you got anything for us? Yeah, I got a little bump for you, bro. Alright, we'll take that bump all the way up to the top for you, man. Only if you got another one for us later. Sure thing, dude. Okay. We just take that little bump, right? And we just carry that all the way up. And so that's really, I think, one of the cool parts is you get to see the breadth of the pot there. Alright. Close this in ever so slightly. Probably got one more pull on this bottom base here, but maybe I'll do a collar. So I'm going to start collaring this bottom edge here. About halfway. Nice. And curl this up. Pretty narrow there, probably a little bit too narrow, but that's okay. Just means we just got to do one equalizing pull. Oh, you can see how it's getting a little bit stuck on my arm there. You got to be careful it doesn't suction to your fist. Okay, now we're slowly creating a little wedge. Again, we asked that little bump. Thanks, Clay. We're going to take it all the way up to the top of the pot. Very slow, right? Like a slug going up the side. Even sometimes I go a little bit too fast, so I'm going to slow down. I think that kind of looks pretty cool. So push this down on that bottom edge. It's going to get a little bit wonky on the top. That's okay. Just because it's thin down there, so when you push that clay and you don't have that support on the interior hand there, it kind of wants to get a little bit off. It's okay. So we're going to set our hand at the bottom here. We're going to do a little bit of a spiral, I think. About maybe here. We're going to stop. Okay. We're going to go to our sponge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we got 6. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Finger spreading outward ever so slightly. It's going to want to twist on the interior. And then as we have some more thickness on this top here, we got to be careful. Sometimes I'll rip that whole entire middle part off if it's thin enough. So again, I want to be pretty gentle. Okay. I think that's good enough. Look at that. Holy shit. Sorry again for cussing. But I feel like this looks pretty cool. Okay. Right up to the bottom. Underneath that bottom edge. Right, and so when I'm looking at this one is probably one of the best of these sorts of elevating the base trees, where I like do that little spiral on the bottom. I think this one is just, this one's a little nutty. And when I look at this one, I feel like I have a couple of options, but on this one I'm going to do the little thing here. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, up. Oopsies. Up. Up. Hey, chill. Okay, we're gonna go up. And then we got this. Up. Little thing here. Got some cool little flowery spots here on this bottom edge. Right, keeping stuff down there because get some interest, get something cool happening. So I think that looks pretty good. Camera C. So you can see the interior of the pot too. I mean, that's like, you can't get more uniform than that on your spiral. I feel like this spiral is probably top tier spiral of what I've made recently. So camera B. Camera B. Awesome. So here's number 2. Again, this one's freaking, this one's crazy. We'll set this one over top of this thing here. Camera C. We got one more pot for you guys today. 3 every day, that's the rule. We'll look over at the thing to see if anybody said anything. I'm loving this one. Thank you so much. I feel like that one, that I just finished, there's every once in a while when you make a bunch of things, right? Like, you know, there's a really big difference. A lot of people say, like, when you're talking about your art, right? Oh, you're being too hard on yourself, right? I don't really think it's like that every time. Obviously, there's some people that are too hard on themselves, right? But realistically, out of 1,000 of these pots that I've made, there's probably like 10 that are like really good, you know? And you got to also think you have your whole entire life to make your work, right? So why are you going to be making your best pots right at the start of your life, right? I'm only 25. Well, how old am I? I'm going to be 25 here soon. So, I mean, I got maybe, if I live long, a quarter of my life I've lived. How on earth have I made my best pots yet? You know? So I like to keep that in mind, is like, you know, some people will say you're being hard on yourself, but also some people just don't understand how long your work is going to be, right? How long is your machine going to be running here, you know? For me, I got my whole life, right? Maybe if you're only planning on making work for a couple years, right? Like, then, you know, maybe you're being a little bit hard on yourself, right? But if you got a lifetime, it's okay to be hard on yourself. And what I've learned is, like, just as long as you keep on making, as long as you expect more out of yourself, and as long as you kind of push that edge of comfort, you know, for yourself, all of a sudden you'll get some spots in your work that are really shining. They'll feel different to you. They'll feel like, imagine like, you're ever in a car driving and then all of a sudden, you accidentally set yourself in a different gear and you're like, whoa, something feels off, right? It's that same exact thing when you get something that looks really cool. Oh, something feels off. Something's a little bit different about this. You really feel those moments. Let's see what some of these people are saying here. Totally. And also with the exercise like this, the point isn't necessarily to make 1,000 favorite pieces. It's to push yourself to... Yeah, I totally agree. I really think that's... Yeah, I think, too, and it's like... That's why I think, too, like I really like these forums, because there's so much potential for things to go wrong or for things to change. And so you kind of have to bake those tense moments into what you're doing, right? Because I'm not trying to be the best functional potter, right? I'm trying to be the best wheeler. I don't even know if that makes sense, but maybe just like the best version of yourself, right? And so I always say, like, for me, some people like to believe, like, you're good where you're at, right? For me, if that makes you, fulfilled, great for you, right? But for me, like, I get a lot of value out of trying to think about what I can become, right? And so that's where I hold a lot of value for myself, or in like what I do. And so I've always said, if you're like one of those people that you can't really find value right now, like, that's all my line of thinking wants to do, is like, I want to propose maybe another path, right? And so maybe nobody in the world, nowadays is going to find a lot of value over like what I think about and what I sort of chose for my own life, right? But after me there's going to be millions and millions and billions of humans, right? Maybe one of them, and that's kind of the beauty of the digital era, is like one of them may look back and see some value in some of the things I'm saying and then really respond to it. And if my words and my ideas and my work doesn't help out anybody now, maybe it'll help out somebody figure out their own path in the future, right? And so I have a lot of faith in that sort of thinking. But here we are pushing this on the bottom. Oh yeah, here, camera B. Camera B. There we go. Nice. Okay, I'm gonna get this down a little bit. I could have kind of feel some weird spots here. Also, it's kind of wide, so I gotta be careful here about that. Get some water out of that corner there. Bring that out open. Llama pole, ready to make a volcano. I'm gonna bring this in a little bit before I start the llama, or the volcano. And I'm gonna be very slow as I go up here. And you can see some of it's getting knocked off on top, but I just wanna bring that bottom edge in just ever so slightly so I can make my job a little bit easier the further I get into this pot. Again, we're gonna go right on the bottom with the knuckle. We're just gonna take that right up the side. Okay, so I think I got a little bit too thin in some areas, and I'm also thinking, if I'm feeling around here, there's some areas that aren't only too thin, but one side's thicker than the other. So I think on this next one, sorry, a little stuffy. This next one here, I'm going to push down. I'm actually going to do a normal pull, but I'm not trying to pull hardcore, right? I'm going to have that little bump. I'm just trying to go slow. I'm trying to even out some of those layers by pushing out and going slow, right? I think that did an okay job. And you can really tell if you did a good job if you know that you didn't even pull, and then you're looking at this top rim and it's still pretty much on center. What I mean on center is it's not like one side's taller than the other. Are your camera changes voice activated? Yeah, you know it. Watch this. Camera C. Oh wait, hold on, that didn't work. Camera C. There we go. See? And watch this. Camera A. Camera A. Right? And if you thought that was cool, let me wipe some clay on my pants here. Turn that on. Green on. Right? This is also voice activated too. Green off. Green, off. There you go. Camera C. But yeah, so it's all voice activated. Which makes me feel like Iron Man, Pottery Man, Clay Man. That's so funny. Thank you, Hannah. It took me a little bit to figure it out, but you know, I feel like if you spend, I'm like, you know me, I'm a gamer boy, so I spent a lot of time on YouTube when I was younger. So I feel like I've learned that you can find pretty much anything on YouTube if you really want to figure it out. And what I found out about YouTube is sometimes you won't find the thing that you're searching for through exactly what you put in, right? But a lot of people do these like videos that are almost like have coded information in them, right? You might be looking up how to make an apple pie, but then they say something about how to, you know, record a little bit better as just like a little side piece in that video. And so I think a lot of YouTube is trying to find out how you can navigate your searches, right? So they can lead you in a direction to find your information, not just by the search bar, but through the content that you're looking through, right? Sometimes you'll discover a lot of things as you're just meandering the video, right? Just a random video. And so sometimes the people that you're following have like a little bit of a secret technique. So learning the people that you're following also can help you discover some things, right? Maybe you're cooking, baking cookies channel for my favorite peanut butter cookies has some really good insight on video recording and bad lighting or something, right? So this top part is really off now. Look how off that is. Just gonna try to get that thinned out as much as I can. Okay. Alright. Now I'm right out to the bottom here. I'm gonna do a little spiral. I'm gonna say, hey. Ready, set, go. Stop. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh. 1, 2, 3. Emphasize, 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 emphasize. All right. Here we go, right on this rim. Slowly setting our fingers down there. And so the reason why we were getting this top a little bit thinner is so when we get to this point of the process, you know, we don't have to push as hard to get through all that clay, and it's already thinned out just a little bit. Round off that rim. Let's see. Oh, I did that all at this camera. Sorry. Camera B. Camera B. You guys couldn't really see a lot what I was doing there. Sorry. But if you like to see what my hands are doing on the inside, maybe that was pretty good for you, you know. Pulling this out. Nice. I think it's right off on the bottom here. Nice, there we go. So we got some water on the inside here, some water on the outside. And we're using our pinkies to throw here. Or just our right-handed pinky, and we're pinching with our left hand to get some of that clay out there. And then this one, I feel like this one's pretty long, so this one justifies a cut. Maybe we'll do, this looks like it may be a 3 cut. Yep, 3 cut. Alright. And so this is going to be kind of funky looking because first off, the tendrils are the largest part, or the largest element on the pot, right? And so there'll be kind of something weird looking about these things. What the heck is this? Is it just a dragon? Yeah, there's a dragon in the background. So I went over 40 minutes. Ah, man. You know, I used to be able to do these recordings in like 20 minutes, right? And that's when I was really focused. But I think I just got to get faster with the talking and the making. We'll get there. I really like the way that looks like. It's like a snake sliding up that side there. I think it looks pretty cool. Okay, so there's number 3. Right down at the bottom, taking some of this clay off. Pushing this out. Looks pretty cool. Yeah, look at that, right? I think that looks kind of dope. Alrighty. So, now I guess what I'm going to do, camera C. Camera C. Okay. I'm going to get some of this stuff here. I think this one needs to go here. Now I'm going to set the 3 underneath here, just like this. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to grab this one. And this one's going to be second, because this one's the tallest, so I think it needs to have some more life in it. Set that right over here like that. I think that's looking okay. And then we can do the elevated one right here. I think this will look kind of nice. And they're skinnier, so I don't think they're going to interact with each other as much. Camera A. Oh yeah, I think that looks sick. Okay. Now I'll pop on over here. I'll swap over to my webcam. I really kind of messed that up. I got to fix that camera before I stop my video here. Green on. Okay. Well, y'all, thank you so much for watching. You know, if I'm looking at these pots today, I think that I really like this one. I think that this one right here, it's just by far the best one out of the ones today. I think there's something to be said about the tendrils on the bottom here. I think there's something cool with this one. The one in the back one, it's just really not doing too much for me. But I really think that this one right here is just killing it. But thank you guys so much for watching. All the best, and strong mentality. And strong mentality. There we go.
Deep.